So we've seen an increase in students dropping out of school or thinking school is useless, and it has many factors to why this happens. Probably because of the many influencers telling you that how they dropped out of school and are now multimillionaires, and if they can do it, so can you. All you have to do is just buy their course for $10,000. I'm joking. But anyway, there really is a problem with the education system, and to understand, we need to go back to the origins. So a guy named John D. Rockefeller owned a multi-million-dollar oil empire, but he didn't have enough wage slaves to keep those oil factories working. It ain't like today where you can just simply post an ad on Facebook and you'll find hundreds of well-educated people looking to apply. No, because then people were mostly in rural areas. People were actually homeschooled. They didn't know how to run a factory or the meaning of a 9 to 5 job, and they weren't conditioned to such a slave-like work environment. So he had this idea where he would educate these people on a massive scale so they could be educated and then come work for him. But of course, he didn't want to give them too much knowledge because knowledge is dangerous, which is the main reason why slaves weren't allowed to read or write. So he had to be careful of what he taught them. If he taught them too much, then they would become smart and independent. They would actually think for themselves and eventually become his competitor. So the plan was to educate only the things he wanted them to know. He funded public schools all around America, and parents were extremely happy that they could just send their children for free and they would get an education. To the world, John D. Rockefeller looked like an angel. He was given free education to all these poor people, but he knew the truth, which is he can now condition for their 5 to 18 years to be exactly what he wants them to be, which is wage slaves, simple employees. He gets to decide what they learn and don't learn. He gets to decide how they see the world, what country, who, and what is bad or good. He can condition them to be scared and obedient, not chasing their dreams, not thinking there is anything more than working life, which is building up his oil factory empire. He cannot tell them that if they don't follow orders exactly how they were instructed, then they are failures. It has worked. Now you have entire generations going into schools with joy, creativity, and ambition, then come out of school as obedient workers who are perfectly happy with making their employers rich. So basically, the education system we know today was created because John D. Rockefeller needed more workers. And soon, many other rich people joined in around the world, from big pharma to food industries and so on. They wanted to give you free free education, while they send their own kids to private schools. As John D. Rockefeller once said, "I don't want a nation of thinkers. I want a nation of workers." So that happened in America. You're probably asking yourself, what about Europe? Well, there was this empire called the Prussian Empire, which is modern day Germany. And they decided to one day invade Poland, and they did it. They wanted now to change the Polish mindset into accepting the Imperial German nationalism, which was impossible to do that because the Polish were proud of their identity. But the Prussians had a genius idea and realized that the adults will never change. But the children, on the other hand, were completely vulnerable and malleable. So they made the 8-year education system where the Polish kids were taught to obey their new colonizers and accept German nationalism. Just like that, they wiped the majority of Polish identity in just one generation. One Prussian philosopher literally described their education system like this: "Education should aim at destroying free will so that after pupils are thus schooled, they will be incapable throughout the rest of their lives of thinking or acting otherwise than as their schoolmasters would have wished. When the technique is perfected, every government that has been in charge of education for more than one generation will be able to control its subjects securely without the need of armies or policemen. So basically, when governments want mass control over the population, just put them through school to condition them not to think and destroy their free will. So this is our education system. I can hear the questions right now like, yeah, but now we have much more advanced education system. We actually learn so much complicated things like engineering, medicine, and coding. Well, that's because other elites from different industries like big pharma, tech companies, and real estate also need workers. That's why they started teaching more advanced things in school. But at the same time, the trick is still the same. Educate just enough to be obedient workers and to be educated enough to actually do the work they want you to do properly. And of course, make them richer. And if you want to know if they succeeded or not, all you have to do is just look around you, or even ask yourself, after all these years of education, and you still don't even know the basic fundamentals of how to take care of yourself, mentally or physically, or how to pay taxes, or get a mortgage, or even find a life partner, how to save money, how to invest in anything, or even the basic skills of survival. Once you answer those questions, well, there's your answer.